I'm recording on this computer. Okay, I think I'm recording. So this is to record how to put a listing into Paragon, a partial listing. And so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so to put in a listing, when you're from the home screen here, you can see up at the top, there are several different tabs. There's your search tab, there's the listing tabs, and there's a whole bunch of other things you can go into. I'm simply going to click on the listing tab, and I'm going to add a listing, which is this column here, as opposed to maintaining a listing. And I'm going to be adding in a residential listing. And so it's going to come up with the, got it, you don't have to tell me all that good stuff. It comes up with a template where you can start putting in the information. And for a lot of people, when you put in the information on a listing, they just go through it one line at a time and start putting it all in. But I like to be efficient. And so I'm going to do an autofill, which pulls the information from our county's assessor's office so that a lot of the information that's needed will get pulled in here automatically. So I'm going up to this tax autofill button. That's right above all this data here, next to the save. And from the tax autofill, I'm going down to my county, which is La Plata. And I click on that. When I do, it asks me to search for the property I'm looking for. And the easiest way I found is either with the tax ID or with the owner's name. And don't try to do both. It gets confusing. I'm just going to put in my owner's last name, which is Galbraith. When I clicked on that, it says there are 5 properties in La Plata County that are owned by people with the last name of Galbraith. So I'm going to search those. It's pulling up the 5. And you can look by the address. That's the street name, or pardon me, that's the subdivision. Here's the house number. Here's the street name. Or you can go by their name. If you have multiple people with the same first and last name, it's easier to go by the address. But I know this is Stephen Galbraith. So I'm going to check on this. And when I check on that, I'm going to say, this is the line I care about. And I'm going to go up and say, I want to autofill with the information that the assessor has. So I'm going to click on that. And when I do, it pulls up all the data into this little tiny box. Shows me the parcel ID, the square footage, the subdivision name, and a bunch of other stuff. It's in Ignacio, what the address is. So when I hit save, it takes it from this little box and sticks it into here. And now I can go back and start putting in the fields that I didn't have before. So the status of this is going to be new on the market. What I did was I clicked on the little search or magnifying, and it went to that. The type, I'm going to click again on the little magnifying glass. And this is a stick-built home. The price I'm putting in is $849. It has the address already plugged in there, and it is Soaring Eagle Drive, I believe. And you can start typing, and it will pop up with whatever comes up with the letters you stuck in there. There is no suite number. It gives you the city, the county, the state, the zip code. And I need to put in an area. And because this is in Ignacio, it's actually Ignacio Rural. Well, as I start typing, you can see it has Ignacio in town and Ignacio rural. And I'm just going to click on Ignacio rural. It already shows that there are 3 bedrooms. And I believe, and by the way, you can go back and update these if you've got things incorrect. I believe there are 2 full baths, and I believe there's a half bath. It was built in 2006. The county says there's 2,041 square feet, but I know that's incorrect. My square footage disclosure is going to be much higher. It's going to be 2,850 square feet because I finished out the basement, and the total acreage is 23.69. So I have filled out this first section, and then I can go through on the other sections. However, before I move on, I'm going to go ahead and save this because you want to save stuff along the line so that you can continue to keep the stuff you put in and not accidentally lose it if you close the window or something else like that. So when I save it, it gives me 2 options, either to save listing or save as a partial listing. I'm saving this as a partial listing. If you save it as a listing, it actually puts it then in as active on the MLS the way it is. When you save it as a partial listing, it doesn't give it an MLS number. It gives it a partial number, record number that you can go back to and update it. And it doesn't show it on the MLS as active because this one isn't active yet. Remember, my clients are going to have me have this active until after we get the photos back. But I want to get this ready so that when I do have the photos back, I can just put it out there as a new listing. So I'm going to click Save as a Partial. When I do, it says, congrats, your listing of 142 Soaring Eagle has been saved, and it gives me a number. And I can write this number down so I can go back to it later. If I have a whole bunch of listings, it might be easier if I knew that number. I usually don't have more than a half dozen listings, so I don't really need to know that number because I can always search for my partial listings when I go back to look at it later. And then it says down here, if it's not completed within 4 months, that Paragon will remove it from the system. So you can do this up to 4 months ahead of time of actually putting a listing live. And so I'm going to save it as a partial, but I'm not finished with it. I'm going to continue my input. Now, here's a little something that bugged me for a long time. I just want you to be aware of it. Whenever you save a partial, it gets rid of that status field. I don't know why. Once you actually save it to go live on the MLS, it keeps that. So I'm not going to keep filling that back in because it'll keep going away until I save it for sure, for the final time. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the listing details. It already knows that I'm the prime listing agent on this. So it's got me, it's got my office. If there's a co-lister, I'll put that in there. So if I was going to co-list with anybody in the coaching team, I could put their name in there. And that would show up when you look at the listings in Paragon. It asks whether or not the seller is licensed or not. This is really important when you're selling your own property, that you make sure you market that you're licensed. But even more than that, if you're representing a seller that is licensed, and even if they're licensed in, say, California or New York, you should mark that they are actually licensed, because you need to disclose that so that the buyer's agents are aware. You need to, and my sellers are not licensed. You need to note whether or not it's foreign owned or not. Why do you need to mark that? Because if it is foreign owned, the clients, the buyers need to know, and then the title company will need to know, because there's actually going to be some withholding that the title company will do. So I'm going to mark that this is not foreign owned. My listing agreement is an exclusive right to sell. I have an agency agreement with them. I am the seller's agent. It's already got their name in there. Now, I don't have to leave their entire name in. I could change this to just Galbraith. Some people don't like the seller's name in there at all. They want to keep that secret. I think it's unnecessary, because that's public information. But if your seller doesn't want their name in there, you can actually remove it and put in something like seller of record or owner of record. You can put anything in there that you can fill that in however you want. Okay. Transaction broker percentage and buyer agency, these are at 3%. Variable rate. What's a variable rate? Well, I happen to have an agreement with my sellers that it's going to be a 6% commission split between buyer and seller, unless I bring the buyer. So if somebody calls up my sign and I bring the buyer and I switch over to transaction broker, I'm changing it from 6% down to 5%. So I'm saying that, yes, this is a variable rate. And that's very important that you go ahead and disclose that, because if an agent from another brokerage house is coming in with the same offer amount as your buyer client is as a transaction broker, the other agent is kind of at a disadvantage. So they need to know that they are dealing with a variable rate. Is this a limited service agreement? Nope, it's not limited service. I'm going to show that the listing date is, well, I haven't signed it yet, so I'm going to say it's today. And the expiration of it is September 28th. This is not an REO or lender owned. It's not a possible short sale. The real estate, yes, is included. Is there an earnest money deposit amount? Yep. It's going to be $20,000. And the earnest money holder is going to be the title company. Not going to be me. And the preferred title company, it's going to be Colorado Title and Closing Services, right here. And is it listed in other classes? It's not at this point in time. However, if I decide that I want to list it also in farm and ranch, I can do that. And I can create a separate listing for that. And if I do that, I have to mark that it is. And I also have to put in,
Hey, Bill,
what that MLS number is. Yes.
excuse me, under where you have title company, you've got a T there in between your N and Y. EM holder.
Are you saying I didn't have my autocorrect on my typing? You're right, I didn't. Thank you for catching.
Sometimes it makes things worse.
Yep.
The autocorrect.
Okay, property details. Subdivision name. Well, it should be Soaring Eagle. Let's see if Soaring Eagle is even in there. Nope. Oop. Nope. There is no Soaring Eagle. But you can see this is the subdivision of Soaring Eagle. So since it doesn't list it, and I don't know that it'll let me type it in or not, Nope, it won't let you type in something other than what is in their database. So I think I'm going to have to put in other. I hate doing that, but I'm going to. It's not new construction. I am not going to put in the lot dimensions because it's an odd shaped lot. I will put in how we've already put in that it's 23.69 acres. Waterfront, I'm not going to call it waterfront. Yeah, it does have an irrigation ditch going right through it, but I don't think we should really consider that as waterfront. Although I have seen that sometimes listed that way, I would not recommend it. Property attached, it's all one property. There's no additional living quarters. Is there a garage? Yep, there's a garage. It's a 2-car garage, and it is an attached garage. Elementary, middle, and high school, I have to believe, because of where it's at, that it's Ignacio. You can put in the elevation. You can put in a year that it was remodeled if you like. Furnished and unfurnished. I'm going to mark it as unfurnished. Even if you mark it as furnished, unless you've got a cash deal, you have to make sure that the buyer also gives you a personal property agreement to be able to purchase the furniture, because lenders will not let you simply leave the furniture there. And then you can, if you want, put in all the square footage. I'm going to come back and I'm going to do that later, because I can grab that off of a previous listing, but I'm not going to do it at this point in time. As you can see, there's just a whole lot of information you can put in here. The only ones that are required are the ones that have the nice little red R. Okay, so is this a horse setup? Nope, it's not. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and save it as a partial, just in case I accidentally close the window out. And I'm going to continue with my input. All right. So now we're down to utilities and rights. So the water supplier, this one is on a well. It's not a common well, it's a well on the property itself. Do I have the well permit? I do someplace, but I can't remember where I've got it. So I have to go look that up. In the meantime, I'm putting in to be determined. Sewer supplier, this is on a septic. Gas supplier, I have to get back in touch with my sellers and find out who is doing their propane, because I can't remember. So I can leave it blank, or I could put in other. I'm going to leave it blank for now. Electrical supplier is La Plata Electric. And internet service, I know he's got it because I did a Zoom with him. And I think it's with CenturyLink, but I could be wrong, so I'm going to leave it blank for now. Water irrigation rights. Oh yeah, he's got irrigation rights. It's approximately 16 acres of irrigation. And I forget who he's got the cert with. I'm gonna have to go look at my cert, and then I'll fill that in. So now we're going to move down to parcel and tax and HOA.
Ask a question. The
Absolutely.
certification, would that be which ditch he's got that, the water rights with?
Yes, yes, it is. I,
Okay, because I know I've got Morrison ditch down here. So I
yeah,
wonder if he's got the same ditch.
no, it's a different one. I've seen the certificate from it, and I think he sent it to me, but I want to make sure I get the right name in there so that when somebody looks it up, they can see the correct thing. So it's got the parcel ID. It already pulled in. It already pulled in the tax account number, and it's asking what the tax amount, total taxes is for the year 2019. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up here and do a quick search for his property. It's this one here. And I'm going to go over to Eagle Web. And I'm going to look at the tax history for his property. And for the year 2019, it looks like it was 1502, but for the year 2020, it was 1805. So I'm going to take the 1805 and I'm going to put it in here. And I'm going to change this to 2020. So total taxes for this past year was $1,805. Are there any special assessments? Nope. Is there an HOA? Nope, there isn't. Are there some covenants? Yes. They're very minor, but there are covenants. And there are no HOA dues. So the road is maintained by the neighborhood, but it's in a separate agreement. So marketing. Do I want it in the IDX? Absolutely. I want Paragon to be displaying it everywhere. Do I want it transmitted to Zillow and Realtor.com and all the public sites? Absolutely. Do I have any tours? Well, I will eventually, and I'll add those in. So when I get the Matterport tour, I'll put that link in here so that people can click on it. And the rest of the stuff I don't use. Remarks. Directions. So I'm going to say Highway 172 towards Ignacio. After Oxford. Turn left on Eagle Lane. To Soaring Eagle. And then property on right, because it loops around. Then we've got property description and addendum. I'm not going to fill that out here because that's all the description you want to have of the property. And I'm going to go look at the previous descriptions and copy some of that and then be creative about what I'm adding to it, what I'm taking away to make sure it describes the property well and will be appealing to people. I'll be mentioning things like it could be a hobby farm, that it's got irrigation, that's, you know, it's a great home, it's got a little dance studio, et cetera, et cetera. And then the way I was taught, and you don't have to do it this way, but this is the way I was taught, that the property description and the addendum, I leave them exactly the same. I copy this one and I paste it in here. The reason for that is when this is sent off to third-party sites, they pull different fields to put in for their description, and you never know which one. So I will be just copying those over. And then on agent confidential, I'll be filling that in with some information about the fact that the square footage that we are listing is not what the county assessor has, and it'll be up to the buyer to verify the square footage. And then for showing instructions, I'll put in there that it's on a super lockbox and that, you know, overnight notice preferred, and probably some other stuff. And then when my clients finally do move to the Midwest, I'll come back in here and I'll change this and mark it as vacant on lockbox, easy to show, that kind of thing. I might also, while they're still living there, put in the reminder that there's a dog on site or there's a cat in the house that they shouldn't let out. I'll get those instructions from my clients. So I'm going to save this as a partial again before we go on to the next section. Green certification. This wasn't built as a green certified house. So there's nothing on here I need to actually put in. I haven't had the opportunity of listing a green certified house yet. But when you do, this is really important information for that niche market that really appreciates that stuff. So if you are doing a green certified house, or one that is really is energy efficient, you should get the certs from the seller, so you can add those in here. And then features. Features is an interesting one. I could go through all of these things here and try to figure out what the features are. But what I have found is if I simply click on the search button, it gives me a bazillion different things I can look at and decide if I want to check them or not. Okay. So currently the property's use is residential and agriculture. He does do some hay on there. And he does kind of have a hobby farm as well. Okay, possible uses. It could be residential, agriculture. It could be dairy or a hobby farm. It could be equestrian. You could have livestock on it. What else? That's probably good there. Zoning, right now it's zoned as residential single family. Lot size, it is 20 to 35 acres. Property description, adjacent to greenbelt? No, not really. Open space? Not really. It doesn't border the golf course. It doesn't border national forest or public lands. I don't have a survey for it currently. A lot of it's cleared, not all of it. It's not off-grid. It does have pasture. Livestock allowed, yep. Exterior structures, there's no arena, no barn, no corral. The garage is attached, it's not an exterior one. There's no gazebo. There's no greenhouse. I believe there's a shed. And I know there's a chicken coop, but chicken coop isn't on here, so I'm going to ignore that. Residential style. It's not an A-frame, it's not an adobe, it's not a bungalow, it's not a cabin. I don't know if I call this contemporary. We're going to call it a farmhouse. 3-story, but a farmhouse. Maybe we could call it a raised ranch. I'm not sure. I'm going to call it a farmhouse. Number of stories, there are 3. Construction type. Dun, dun. It's wood built. Foundation is a basement below grade. I do not believe it is, yeah, I think it's a basement below grade. But it's finished. They finished out that basement. Can't remember what the roof is. I may have to come back and change that or add it. The siding, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. I'll come back and do that. The flooring, it's mixed. There is some carpet and there is some hardwood and other stuff. I can't remember the heating source off the top of my head, so I'm going to have to come back and add that as well. Same thing with the heating system. Same thing with the fireplace and the water heater and the cooling. The dining, I think it has a breakfast nook. I'll have to probably come back and fix this some more. And I think there is a kitchen dining area as well. I don't think there was a separate dining. I think it was open. The master bedroom is on the upper level. There is no pool. There is fencing. And I can't remember how much of it is, so I'm coming back to that. I know there is some cross fencing. Street access. It's a gravel road. There is no frontage to the highway. It's not waterfront. It has views of the mountains and views of the valley. It's got electric, it's got propane, and I think it's a lease tank. I may have to change that. It does have internet, but I'm not sure what kind. The domestic water cell, our water source is a well. The domestic sewer source is a septic system. Nothing on the green efficient. Appliances included will be the dishwasher, the disposal, but who's going to take a disposal out? I always wonder why they even have us check that. The dryer, it's a range oven, refrigerator, the washer. They're taking their microwave, so I cannot check that. Interior inclusions. I don't know if it's got a pantry or a pellet stove. I have to go back and look. There was a walk-in closet. It's a garage door opener. They don't have dance studio. Too bad. They do have fitness room. It is a heated garage. There is deck. So there's just a whole lot of things you can check off here. I think it's gravity fed irrigation. I don't think there's a pump, but I could be wrong.
Bill, there was something up there that said irrigation water. Did you want to check that?
Oh, I sure should have. Thank you. I went too fast.
And Bill, could you get away with labeling a dance studio as a fitness room? I mean, technically it is a fitness room, but I just want to know like logistics.
You probably could, but you want to describe it well, right? You want to make
Right.
sure, you just want to make sure you're disclosing so that people don't have some false sense of what's there, right?
Right.
You want to be honest in your marketing of it.
Okay.
There is no HOA. There's no common facilities. We're going to disclose there are covenants. So the nice thing about this property is because of the size of this property, what it wants on the covenants trumps everything else in the subdivision because all the other properties are like from 3 to 5 acres. There's likely a ditch easement going through there because I've seen the ditch going through it. Certainly pets are allowed. There will be a property disclosure. Appointment's going to be required. We'll have them call the listing office. It'll be on an electronic lockbox. I'm going to set it up on showing time. Terms, we always accept cash. We love cash. Cash is king. It's great. We'll take conventional. But we're not going to do a lease option. We're not going to do an owner carry. We could probably do VA and FHA. Available for auction, nope. And I'm not sure the windows. So that's everything I'm going to put in there. And then I'm going to simply hit save. And when I do, it's going to take all those things that I've checked and dump them in there, which is way easier than trying to figure out what to put in there. Okay. So you can see that's got all that good stuff. And then the last section, which we can't fill out yet, is the sold section, right? The sold section, you only can fill out when it's actually sold. Now, if you look over to the left here, you can see that there's a total of 194 input fields and 75 of them are required. But what it is saying is that 6 of them have not been filled out. And so if I did try to save this to put it to the MLS, it would force me to go back and look at all of those particular remaining fields. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save it as a partial again. And it saved all this good stuff that I've put in there. I've got several things still to go back and do. But what I want to let you know is that you also can you can add and edit the pictures through here on the left-hand side. I don't have the pictures yet, so I can't put them in. You can view the detailed report. You can add and edit documents. Now, this is important for this house because it does have the irrigation certificate. I'm going to add that in as part of the document so people can see that. There's probably a subdivision plat I'm going to stick in there. I may make a copy of the GIS so people can see it and stick it in there. I'll put as much information in there as I possibly can. Had this been a listing of a home that was old that needed a lead-based paint disclosure, I would add that into the documents as well. You can put all sorts of things in there. And then you can assign the super lockbox, and you can also add and edit open houses. So when we do an open house on this, I'm going to go in there and I'll put in the dates and the times so that it automatically puts them in to showing time. So basically, that should be it. I'm going to say that as a partial again. I'm going to say I'm done. And now, when I need to go back and I need to look at it, and I'm into Paragon, I can go into listings again. And I can go over here under maintain and under maintain partials, and it will show me all the partial listings I've got. And there it is. And if I want to edit it, when I'm ready to edit it, I can click on it and open it up, or I can select an action over here and go to that action. So that's how you start with putting it in. And you can start well ahead of time. One of the issues people have is that they wait too long to put their listing into the MLS. If you've got something that you are going to be listing for somebody, do yourself a favor and start on it early, so that when you get to the place when you're putting in the listing and you don't know the answer to it, you can save it as a partial, go find out the answer, come back and edit it. You have any questions on any of this? Then I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to stop the recording and we're done.